human rights. If I say I have a human right to fly, you cannot give me that right because I cannot fly. So they ask for homosexual same-sex marriage. Same-sex people cannot marry because they cannot have a physical unity and they cannot procreate children. So they are asking for a right which is no right, because marriage is defined always in all societies over all history as the unity of a man and a woman coming together, saying yes for life and being open for the procreation of children. So this is an abuse of the concept of human rights and not a true human right. When the Universal Foundation Declaration of Human Rights was formulated, they couldn't even have in their wildest dreams an idea that same-sex people would claim this as a right. When we give the facts, usually people say we are homophobic, which is a new term, or we discriminate. I want to declare quite clearly and explicitly, what I have to say is not against people with an homosexual attraction. I respect people, I respect their freedom to live their life however they choose to live their life. But I want to protect the freedom of saying what the reality is. If we make a choice, the sexual new ideology says you can choose your sexuality as you like. You should be informed, and we should inform our children what it means. So there are a few facts about the same-sex lifestyle if it is practiced. We see this push for same-sex marriage all over the globe. And we should expect that in countries where you have first the civil union and then you have maybe even the complete equality with marriage, that all the homosexuals should run to it, run to the office and get this new legal status. But what is the reality? It is only about 2% of the population who say we are homosexuals, we have the same-sex attraction. How many of these 2% actually make use of civil union in the different countries or of same-sex marriage where it has been legalized? It is 2% of 2%. So it is amazing that we are turning over our value system, our social system, our legal system for 0.04% of the population. Why are we doing this? Another fact is that homosexual life of men is promiscuous, as all studies show. It is very, very rare that two men have a lasting, faithful relationship. So that's the reason why they don't make use of civil union, because the lifestyle is against it. Then there's a very serious consequence of same-sex sex, and that is the risk for STDs, for AIDS, HIV, for psychiatric conditions is much greater, as studies show. More depression, more anxiety, more suicide, more sexual transmitted disease, and so on. So one should know the risks, and a society should make a decision what to teach their children. Yogyakarta is a town in Indonesia. And in 2007, so-called human rights experts met in Yogyakarta and drafted a document which is called the Yogyakarta Principles. It is 29 principles how the whole of the society will be restructured according to the demands of the LGBT movement. 29 principles, the heading is always states must do this and this and this and this. Retrain their policemen, retrain their court system, change their education system, legalize same-sex marriage, protect them from discrimination, and so on and so on. It is worth getting the document because many governments are behind it, and because it is a kind of blueprint, it's a kind of timetable how to change society. You can sort of tick off, this has been realized in my society, this has been realized there. The Yogyakarta principles come with a toolkit. You know, you need a toolkit when you have something to repair, you need tools to do it. There's a toolkit to the Yogyakarta principles, how to change a society. The conditions are very different. Yeah, you do it differently in Nepal, in India, in Hong Kong, in Germany. You apply different ways. You analyze the society, you analyze what people feel, and then you do the first step. It is always about the first step and the next and the next and the next everywhere. And the toolkit tells you how to do it. What are the best practices? What has worked here? What will work in your society? First have parades. They're usually very obscene, what we see on the streets. Parades through the towns. You have lawsuits of, let's say, a couple married in wherever you have marriage, let's say in the Netherlands, it comes to Hong Kong, or let's take a European country, and they go to another country, Slovakia, where you don't have homosexual marriage, and they say, you have to recognize my marriage, and then they do a lawsuit to the highest court, and we don't know how this lawsuit will end. That's the strategy. How to change education, how to get sex education in schools. Many different ways to do that, and people are trained. The lobbyists of the LGBT movement are trained how to bring about cultural change. Of course, the entertainment industry is one of the main factors to make us get used to images of same-sex love life. So they are trained how to do it. They get the support of lawyers to how to do that political movement, and have the support from the European Union and the United Nations. I'll give you one example. I've just come from Taipei. Taipei has an office of the European Commission. 16 member states of the European Mission have their representatives there. Not all member states, but 16. They are more or less pressured by the office to sign a declaration that all states should legalize same-sex marriage. They are pressured to take part in the gay parade through the town. Yeah? So there are very many methods, if these powerful institutions with their huge resources of money and personnel are behind it, to change societies. And people nowadays know how to do it. The European culture is an export article for the whole world. It is a wonderful culture. Why is it wonderful? It has all the arts, architecture, music, painting, philosophy, theology, the political system, the democratic system. It is a wonderful culture. If you look at European cities, it is just, they are jewels. And all this is on the foundation of Christianity. It is the Catholic Church that founded the first Catholic universities. So that is the foundation. And the tragedy is now that Europe is turning against its own roots, it's turning against Christianity. So what is the position of intellectuals? Intellectuals usually have a good brain and they believe in themselves. They are not faithful, they are not humble. They do not believe that there's something above them which they should respect. So usually intellectuals are left-wing. And even in Europe, yeah, they are not Christians. There are some, yeah, very bright, wonderful minds, but the normal intellectual in the media, wherever, they know themselves, yeah. So now here you are asking about intellectuals in Hong Kong. They should be clever enough to look at the consequences. They should be smart enough to see what has allowed a culture to unfold, to blossom, to have good fruits, and what doesn't. And as I understand, here in Hong Kong, you still have a foundation of values of marriage and family. It's breaking up everywhere, but you still don't have the civil union and you don't have same-sex marriage. So look at the consequences and analyze the consequences and voice them and make known what the consequences are to the general public, so they are not blinded and deluded with all this manipulation of our mind.